soulful magazine coming from Mel's heart, speaking my truth like an editorial. On Living Reflections, we've looked at becoming the blueprint, self-love and inner leadership, and this season we'll be diving into finding balance. And all of these are interconnected. And I've certainly gone on my own journey through these topics as I've lived and breathed and talked about them, as well as discussed them with my guests and learned from them as well. The biggest things I think I've learned is to slow down more, to show more self-compassion into the areas of my life I was too stubborn and too hard on myself about, and to give my permission to myself to go, you are being a little bit hard on yourself there, a little bit too critical on yourself, where I'm not to anybody else, but to me I was. I went on this discovery with Rick Schnabel, one of my first guests on Living Reflections, and we did a live NLP session to help my insomnia, which is on YouTube at the end of season 1 and then part of that he talked to me at the end about self-love, because that was the next topic we were going into. And he shared with me a NLP audio that he'd created about self-love. I played that a lot of times at night as I was going to sleep, to start changing some of those messages in my brain from trauma. And amazing things started to occur when you listen to this tool. You discover more about yourself and you look at yourself in a different way. When you return back in life to when you were born. And I think because of all the negative experiences I've had as a child overshadowed the true essence of me in what I could see. Like, I was not born into a family that showed any affection or showed love or actually even gave love in any way. It was just trauma and negative experiences. But then when you look at your own birth, that Rick goes with you, and as you look at the various scenarios he asks you to do in the journey, and you look at the birth and you go through these questions he's looking at, you actually view it from a higher position of where you are at your birth. And through that, I began to see for the first time that I am loved. And I always was loved, even before my birth, even when I was in mum's tummy and as I was conceived. And that was never out of love. That's from what I've heard from my family. That was never out of love. But it is, because it's creating life. And so if you've had negative experiences about your childhood and you struggle to find self-love and you struggle to find that within you that you were loved from the very beginning, I really encourage you to listen to this audio, and I'll put in the show notes where you can get that from Rick's website. It was a life changer for me. And then I was able to, in understanding that and seeing that for the first time in my life, that I was always loved, because we all are loved. No matter what we've gone through in life, no matter what people have done to us or what trauma we've gone through. But we are loved and we are loved. As you give more time and compassion to you, that natural inner balance starts to flow. It just naturally comes. Not that I just stepped into balance. That didn't happen, but it's something I still have to work on every day, and particularly in our fast-paced society. But it meant that I found I can step into it a little bit easier, and I've never really been able to find balance in my life. What I'd like to lead off with this season sits at that heart of both self-love and inner balance. Yeah, I recall back something that takes us away so much from balance is our phones, our scrolling on social media, our bips and blips and things that go off on our phone all the time, our immediate attention to it. And I recall when Facebook first came out, as in the Facebook that we know, that first came out in September 2006 across the world. I think I joined in about 2007. And, you know, anything that's a new thing, you spend a lot of time on it, and it was so foreign and different. You started to, it consumed a lot of time. And you started to catch up with people you haven't talked to for a while that's been in your life, and finding other people, and I was talking to strangers over in America, all over the world. It was this amazing thing at the time to, have a message board chat basically. And by 2 years later, I remember deleting it. It was like I killed myself on Facebook. I deleted my profile I remember the specific day. It was Good Friday in 2009. And that's because a whole lot of a stalker happened from the US on me and wouldn't let me. It was just awful, and I just had to stop. It became so addictive. And I was doing my doctorate at the time, so it was like I was taking time away from me that I didn't have, because I had 4 part-time jobs and my doctorate, and that was more important to me than connecting with these other people online who I didn't even know, most of them. And about 5 years ago, I felt that pull again to scroll on socials. I was off Facebook and that sort of media for a long time. When I joined the Navy and finished my officer training, again 2 years after that in 2011, the only way that my cohort, when we finished, we wanted to all keep in contact, and Facebook was the best way for us to do that. Everybody else, they were all young, they were on Facebook, so I said, okay, I'll join Facebook again, and then I've been on ever since. And then in that time, 5 years ago, when I was like recovering from my trauma in the military, I could feel that pull to scroll on socials. It's been happening for years. I was again addicted to it, not only to social media apps, but to my phone. I was addicted to my phone, to the beeps and rings, to the connection to someone, and soon found that most of that connection was not real connectedness, which is what I was craving for the most. I was living alone. I was isolated on a farm, or in hospital. I wasn't in a great mental space and needed to have recovery from trauma, and doing all this stuff on my phone was not helping. What it was actually doing was sending more cortisol through my already stressed body and creating a continued hyped zone that I couldn't keep still, I couldn't be. And my iPhone said back then my average screen time was about 8.5 hours a day. I couldn't believe that when that was there. So I was like trying to reduce that, but it was so much of addiction, and I had so much more cortisol in my body. It wasn't great for me and my health. I had more hypervigilance from my complex PTSD and more internal noise going on, and that it just was not the best thing. I wasn't connected. I was stimulated. And that's the big difference. When you're on your phone all the time and you're connecting to all these people, or you don't even know sometimes, like I don't think there's some real people out there on Instagram and stuff, but when I wasn't connected, you're stimulated. And stimulation is masquerading as connection is one of the most common imbalances of our time. I then stopped and I had to pull myself away from that urge again and again. But once it was out of my system, I only answered calls when I was ready to. I actually forgot about my phone. I would go out for a walk or go to an appointment. Oh, I don't need my phone. I'm not buying anything. And I felt great. I felt free. And most of the day, my phone is laying inside my house on silent, and I'm not getting any beeps or anything. And that's the last few years I've done that. And when I've actually, I take the time to look at my phone and go, okay, has anybody messaged me? Is it important? Any phone calls that I should ring back? And I'll have a time when I am ready to do that, and I'll look at it and go, okay, well, I need to do these things, and then I do it in the time when I'm ready. And but when I have to turn it on because I know that a phone call is coming through, I actually the anxiety of that and those beeps and sounds coming through, I actually can't handle that anymore. I feel the cortisol going up. I feel the tension in my body, and I thought, wow, the difference is amazing. But when we're overstimulated, if we're doing that every single day, we don't notice it, right? So that stimulation masquerading as connection is imbalancing you every day. Now, you may have a job that you have to have your phone on, and that's okay. What do you do with it afterwards, though? After your job, do you turn it off? Do you have times where you're not 24/7 on the phone? Today, my average screen time is 1 hour and 23 minutes. And I love that I've got it down to that much. And that's mainly looking at actually tracking my HRV and looking at my Aura Ring stats for sleep overnight, and reading something, as iBook or something, being on Audible at night, as Calm app, looking at my calendar. They're the things that I do on my iPhone now, unless I've got to call somebody back or a text. Recently, the teenagers being banned on socials are starting to feel that same thing. Didn't we want them to go outside more and play? Isn't that what we want our children to do? And I believe if adults don't start paying attention to what their phone is doing to them, now that I've gone through that and I've seen both sides of the coin, then it will be actually this generation of teenagers that grow up and will lead the way in our future. Because what our teenagers are saying is that they're feeling freer, they're less anxious, they're freedom from pressure to put up appearances of this perfect life online. They're more connected to real life. They're feeling less isolated, and they do have that sense of missing out on something, and that's the transition that they're going through at the moment. And that adjustment is hard, especially if a lot of them did rely on online mental health support through support groups. But they will soon realize that when they start to connect with real people in a group again, in a group setting, or in the right space for them, face to face or even online, but in therapy or something, like on Zoom or something, then they will actually see that is real connection, not what they were feeling before. Very different to what they would have discovered in online support groups, or just catching up with friends and hanging out and playing again, and just being real with people, being yourself. I think that's what they're going to discover. And then shifting to authenticity, that will lead to more genuine experiences, and understanding that online connection is actually manufactured. And they're the type of things that they're going through now, and that's what's been recorded in research and media at present. And yet many adults are still caught in the very loops our teens are now stepping out of. If we don't start paying attention to what our devices are doing to our nervous system, our attention spans, and our sense of self, then it may be this generation of young people who lead the way back to balance. And they're reminding us that something we've forgotten, to love ourselves enough to slow down, to choose presence over stimulation, and to reclaim our attention as an act of well-being. Yeah, balance isn't static. It shifts with life stages, stress loads, responsibilities, and even the weather. Like, we know that when it's raining for a week, we're pretty much depressed and moody and can't get out for a walk and not happy in the traffic and things like that. So weather makes a big difference as well. But balance evolves across decades and seasons of life, and we need to evolve with that. We burn out when we expect consistency instead of adaptability. And we need to honor seasons of expansion and seasons of rest, to build a pace that supports longevity, not just productivity. Yeah, even recently I've been doing a lot of work towards my big event that's happening in about 10 days' time. And then on the long weekend, I got sick with a cold. That's why my voice is a bit nasally. And I was like, the last thing I need right now is a cold. But then I looked at it in a positive way. Okay, there's times for a season of rest is upon me. I've been working too hard. I've been pushing myself to the limit of trying to get things done. But actually, to succeed and get the best result that I want from my event and to have everything aligned is to balance myself out now, giving myself time to rest and recover. And then that's going to support the longevity. I'm going to make it on the event day and I'll be there, confident and well. But if I kept on pushing through, I most likely would have made myself worse and may not be well enough to do the event. And so where I'm honoring my body state, what's going on for me right now, and giving myself time. And to do that, you have to listen and stop and listen to what's going on for you. And sometimes it's that quiet inner voice that we got to hear. And if we're putting so much pressure on ourselves, or we're stuck in the high cortisol and not reclaiming our attention as an act of well-being or presence over stimulation, we're going to miss that quiet inner voice within us. Lao Tzu reminds us that nature does not hurry, yet everything is accomplished. And so I'm holding on to that. Everything will be accomplished for what I want, because nature's not in a hurry. So I'm not in a hurry. I will get things done in time without putting the pressure on myself. I've learned that when I align myself with the natural rhythms of life, profound results are yielded. Though I'm still trying to figure out what to do with daylight saving because my body, and I notice all the animals and pets around, they go through exactly the same thing. It always takes us 2 weeks to figure that out, that 1 hour loss or that 1 hour gain. Terrible. I should move to a place that doesn't have daylight saving. I'm testing tools at the moment to help us align and find balance. I've been doing some things for many years, like HRV tracking, the heart rate variability, and I'm going and forest bathing. But I'm also wanting to check out, well, how will a random chime go off when I'm on the computer doing concentrated sessions and I'm sitting for hours. I get so involved in my work when I'm deep going into something. I forget to stand, I forget to stretch, and then I'm all in pain and stiff when I get up. And so I was like, okay, I'll try this random chime. And I'm also going to try humming. I recently was reading something about if you're in a space where you've got negative language going through you, you're stuck in a position, start humming. And same with a group. If something happens in a group and something's going on, someone starts humming, amazing results actually will occur, and it will lift the spirits of everyone in the room, because we know that music and that lyrical really affects our whole rhythm within our body. So yeah, I want to check those things out, and I'll let you know in the end of our season in Toolbox Treasure of their effectiveness. So what does finding balance mean for you? Is it for you to find time? Is it stopping and listening more to that quiet inner voice inside? Is it knowing what's in your control and what's not? Is it letting go? Is it choosing you over the demands? Is it creating space? There's so many various variables for what we need to find balance in your life. It's important to find out what's important for you. And just to end on a summary of balance. Balance is not a still point, but a soft unfolding, a willingness to evolve as the seasons within us shift. It's the courage to expand when life calls us forward, and the tenderness to rest when our spirit asks to slow. It is building what lasts, brick by mindful brick, without rushing the becoming. It is choosing what matters, letting the unnecessary fall away, honouring the self with time, with space, with breath. Balance is the quiet art of letting go and letting flow, a returning again and again. It's a sacred call to honour cycles of rest, growth and renewal. May you find